We are live. This is Kemi Nekvapil. I couldn't be more thrilled. Kemi, I have to admit to you that when I first reached out and said, will you come and do an NQ Live, all I knew was that you looked like a barrel of laughs. I just saw you and just thought, she looks really fun. I didn't know anything about you at all.
Well, it's funny because I think about that. How did we connect through Substack? And I think it was because Jane Ratcliffe interviewed your interview. You had read Praiseworthy. I sent you a message to say, I am reading that right now. And then you said, let's chat.
Oh. Okay, good memory. I'd completely, oh my God, Praiseworthy.
And I'm a barrel of laughs. There you go.
And you're a barrel of laughs. Every time I even say the title of that book, I want to cry. I want to cry because of the sheer talent.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, I had the absolute honour actually of speaking to Alexis Wright at a literary festival. So for those that are listening, Alexis Wright wrote the incredible book Praiseworthy, which she shared in that interview took her 10 years. And when I first started reading it, like the first 3 pages, I was like, no. This is not one of those books. You have to, she's giving of herself and you have to give yourself to this book. And so I started it in January of this year. My husband and I started reading it together. Alexis Wright is actually one of his favourite Australian authors. So he introduced her to me and we said, let's do it together. But then once we'd done part 1, I was like, I had my own book editing that I was doing. I said, I can't do Praiseworthy and my book. So then I had the privilege of actually going on country and weaving in the Northern Territory, which is where the book is set. And I thought, I'm going to take it with me on country and finish it. And yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, it's one of those books. There are so many places I'm in when I even think about that book. I don't know if you remember the whole mangrove scenes.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And she, I mean, just let alone the content, but Tetty, that she stays as a writer, you know, as a teacher. Like, if I read her, I'm learning. She stays in the scene. She stays in the. And in that mangrove scene is, but she stays. She stays.
Yeah, she stays.
She stays.
Yeah, and she expects something of us as the reader. She expects us to stay too. And the allegories. Anyway, I mean, we know that we could do this whole time that we have to
just stop Praiseworthy. I know, but I just said, I
spoke to her at the end, and I said to her, Alexis, that's a bit of a book you've written. It's a bit of a book. Actually, I've got it here. So
have you? I can't believe you.
Yeah, and
bloody hell.
I'm gonna go back in at the end of the year and kind of finish annotating it. And she signed it for me. She said, I hope you enjoy this book. You know, so
yeah. Okay, okay. Well, I'm sure. I hope we'll talk. But let's at some point, if we ever meet, let's just talk Praiseworthy for half an hour, because we're more than that. But okay, fantastic. All right, amazing. But you wrote, and I know we haven't come to talk about this, but I just have to talk about it. Power. Again, actually, I want to cry. I want to cry about this. Because so obviously I was like, when you said yes, I was like, right, I better do some research.
Yeah.
So on Kemi. So then I have had, you know, an amazing deep dive into all the work that you've put out. And I happened to read this while I've just spent a week up in Scotland with my family. And I'll just, again, it's annotated all the way through. It's like, which couldn't have been the more perfect book to be reading in that environment.
Yeah, I was going to say, where do we give away our power with our families? Who's got the room? Where do we give it away? Why did we give it away? What is the impact? 100%. Yeah.
It was, and it almost made me, well, in fact, it did make me feel like way back when we first connected, I had no idea that there would be a confluence of things that would land me in that place with that book at that moment. It could not have been more perfect. It changed me. It changed me. It did. It had you must have read Pema Children, and you must have read Pema.
I actually haven't read Pema Children. I'm trying, as you say that now, I'm trying not to have that anger, realizing I'm never going to read all the books. Like, I'm just going to.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
It's so
I
cool.
only compare. Oh shit! There's a book I haven't read. No, the only reason
Emma would have wanted us to be going, oh no, I haven't read.
No, she really wouldn't.
And us to let it go and just
Let it go when things fall
Stop her.
apart, which is exactly, which is like the yeah. Well, I only mention it because that's one of those books that it's as I read it. This is why I'll talk about power. And said when I read it, it's happening on a cellular level. It's affecting me on a cellular level. There's absolutely no question. I could have easily just sat and read it without my highlighter and just let it waft over me, and it still would have changed me.
Thank you, and I appreciate those words. I also appreciate that you highlighted it in the same color as the book. That is commitment, which brings us
I have
back
to say that was complete coincidence. But I'll pretend that I did that. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. All right. We are here to talk about 8Q, which I'd completely forgotten as well. I'm going to admit that until you said, looking forward to 8Q. And I was like, shit, is that what I said? So fantastic. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not going to apologize. It's funny. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Kemi, first of all, how are you? How are the flowers?
Oh, I'm good. The flowers are great. So I actually had some dear girlfriends here. For people that don't know, I actually live on a farm, and currently all the daffodils are in bloom. I inherited about 10,000 daffodils, and I had 10 girlfriends yesterday harvesting buckets of daffodils. And what I love about, I call it Daffodil Day, is that then all of my friends go off with at least probably 500 daffodils each in bunches of 10, which they then spread out to everyone in their lives that I will probably never meet. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know. And so that was what my Sunday consisted of.
Wow.
So that's, and I'm about to kind of get into plant the roses. I just planted 155 peonies in June, which is our winter. And then in a couple of weeks, I will be planting 30 David Austin roses in the flower paddock as well. So slowly building up the flower paddock. But for me at my age, this is what my activism looks like, growing beauty in the world.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. There's a great piece in the book about delight.
Yeah.
That really made. That's amazing. So you inherited 10,000 daffodils? Do you mean when you bought the farm? They were already
when we bought the farm, and actually what I learned from the previous owner is that there was a daffodil breeder that planted a lot of daffodil bulbs in this area where I live on Wurundjeri Woiwurrung country, and he was trying to breed a pink daffodil. And we have a little patch that has daffodils that have white petals and a pink funnel, but we don't have the full pink one. And to be honest, Eleanor, I wasn't a big daffodil fan. Like growing up in the UK, I don't know, that just was a bit common and a bit this and a bit that, and who cares?
Yeah.
But I understand that Mother Earth wants us to have bright yellow at the end of a long so even the pink sort of trumpeted daffodils, they don't do the same. They don't bring the same level of unapologetic delight that daffodils do. And I've actually started calling them the mental health flower. That's what I
Yeah. And maybe you're right, because England is full of daffodils and we dismiss them. They're all on roundabouts. You know what I mean? They're just like, whatever.
Yes.
And actually, I know. And I always think that about birds. Like people dismiss magpies and crows and all of those because there's so many of them and they're magnificent. They're like, so I've been doing a lot of that actually. Yeah, just really noticing. And I mean, I'm a big thistles and nettles and brambles and all the things. There's no weeds in my world at all.
Right.
There's just aren't.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because what I'm writing about now is what is it to be British born, British raised, to live on this land, stolen black land. So I'm a black person who is of the colonizer, but live on stolen black land. And there are so many different levels to that. So a lot of my writing is kind of exploring that. But also, as you say about the brambles, I know how I'm meant to feel about blackberries, being a land custodian in Australia. And yet they make the best jam. It's very confronting. There's a tension. There's an inner tension, like blackberry jam is my jam. So it's an interesting thing to look at. And I love this idea of newcomers and oldcomers as compared to native and invasive, because as we know, a weed is just what we call it. A weed is only a plant that we don't want where it's growing. So for some people, dandelions are the healing medicine crop, and for other people, they're weeds, and it's not that these different plant species don't cause destruction, but even here at the farm, we have a lot of holly, we have a lot of blackberry and Branbury. And what I now know from my work around being on this land and reading and exploring is that, yes, we could pull out the holly and yes, we could pull out all the blackberries, but there's going to be an ecological impact that we will not know until we do that. And it's probably that the Brambley is holding together the sides of the streams and the creek. And the holly is, I mean, look, there's other ways obviously to have bird life, but the holly actually is incredible for what we call the LBBs, the little brown birds, which move so fast that not everyone can name them. Like I'm trying to name some of them. I'm like, you're too fast, stay still. Interesting. It's a very layered, multi-leveled exploration that I'm incredibly curious about at the moment.
Yeah, and when will we, as a mass human species, learn that lesson, which we're constantly, in hindsight, seeing that? Oh, we didn't realise that if we put myxomatosis in rabbits, that would in fact. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're the constant. I've been, and I don't even like the words wilding and rewilding. I'm just trying to get away from all of those worlds. But I'm very lucky to look after about 300 acres in the south of England, and I have stepped back. I have been stepping back for about 7-8 years now. And within the first 6 months, the uplifts, I count yield in insects. That's the yield I count. And within the first 6 months, the insect yield was visibly like, wow, look at that. And because I'm sure, again, well, to just move into women just a little bit as women, and certainly as women, and the amount of people who come and me what to do and how I should do it is phenomenal. I've been here 30 years. And after about 25 years, I said, you know what? Nobody knows this bit of land like I do. I may not know that I know this bit like intimately.
Yes.
And this bit of land is telling me, because it's lovely to get grants and people, but the fact is, if you go out and try and get money to do the thing, they will make you jump through 40,000 hoops, all of which involve taking out this and putting in that and redirecting that. And I said, you know what? No.
Yeah,
just stop
Isabella,
it. That's what I did.
Isabella Tree's book, Rewilding. I don't know personally, but I talked about that the bureaucracy that actually stops you from looking after land. But there's a book I'm in the middle of that I think I like before we get on to the questions. It's called Human Nature. I'm literally in the bit by a Australian author called Jane Rawson. And
I'm writing it down.
I really think it's going to resonate with you partly because of what you just said, actually, and the ravens, but also just around species lost and how do we count success in nature, and what is nature, and all those questions.
Yeah.
So
And again, before we get onto, we will go to the questions. I've just recently, there's a load of hornets who decided to come and live up in my eaves. Now I know that if I go and Google whatever, everybody will say hornets destroy bee habitats, got to get rid of them, la la la, which may well be true. I'm not saying, do you know what I mean? But the fact is, we don't know what else they're doing, and we don't know the counter like that. So I'm like, this land is, it's not mine. I look after it. This land is wise. These insects know way more than I do. I'm just going to be like, okay, there's a balance because there's a balancing going on constantly.
Yeah, it is that moving away from dominating spaces and places. I love gardening. So, I feel like I have these 3 things now where I'm a custodian of land, I'm also a gardener, and I'm stepping into flower farming. So those 3 things are actually distinctly different. It's like the difference between people that buy books, separate hobby, people that read books, separate hobby. Sometimes those 2 things, can actually meet in the middle. But instead of going into straight domination and I am the human and I have power in this place, that when we get curious, just go, I wonder what's happening here. Like I've just been observing the cockatoos here. Now, normally the cockatoos are in particular gum trees around the farm, but they're on the ground. They're outside my study here where I work. And I'm like, I wonder why at the beginning of spring are they coming down? Don't seem to be making nests like the other birds. Maybe they are. I don't know. There's something in the ground that is coming up now. The weather's getting a little bit warmer that they must love. So just time to get curious. I saw my first centipede in the house, and I'll tell you, 10 years ago, I would have killed it. And actually initial intuitive reaction to that centipede, I saw it and I was like, oh, you're the first one this spring.
Yeah.
And then I caught myself thinking, oh my God, what has happened to you, woman? Like now you're talking to centipede. But also, what a joy and a blessing
Yeah.
that Anne gets to teach us these things. So
Yeah, and to share it. I mean, I have a practice now, and I've just gone out and done it. I go and it's not just talking to trees. I don't know whether you do this, but that is a particular. I mean, like all the trees. When I come home, that all the trees are like, hello, hello, hello. It's like,
yeah,
what do-" And I go down and I talk to the willow, hello, willow, and she shivers like this, and I'm feeling it with my whole body, and that equality
yeah,
is.
yeah, the human and the non-human beings. And that's what Jane Lawson talks about in this book, actually. The humans decided we are the superior species. And what she actually said is what I literally just read. He says that she decided to do this calculation of looking at if every single human and non-human being on the planet was allocated the earth and we were all given exactly the same amount of space, regardless of whether we're a human, an insect, an elephant, or a rhino, humans get barley. That is the representation of human beings compared to the rest of the animal and plant kingdom. But we would only get the country of barley. That's it. And yet we have done so much in the planet that taken up so much space that maybe we didn't need to and we don't need to continue to do so. But who knows? It's going to be interesting how it all pans out.
Yeah, it is. Wow, that's a phenomenal.
Isn't it?
It's a phenomenal thought.
It
Yeah, and I
really is.
think it's phenomenal. And I think in terms of the overwhelm that we all feel around global or even wider community, local things that feel too big and too
Mm,
difficult, that contribution on a daily basis of the knowledge of our place and our size and the
mm.
light that we can be and the equality to me is as valuable a contribution on a daily basis as all the wonderful people who are out there doing very public facing amazing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I, in my next book, Grounded Success, I actually, I just, she passed away, Joanna Macy, just over a month now, but spiritual ecologist Joanna Macy. And I wanted to put one of her poems in my book. And as you know, as an author, once you quote other authors, you have to reach out and ask them, is it okay for me to quote you in my book? And, certain people requested money. So certain people were fine as long as you, affirm me, whatever it was. Joanna Macy's website, and I went, because my editor and publisher had said, that's a big poem, like it's a big chunk of her
Mm,
work. It may be either that they're going to be a no or
mm,
it's going to cost you money. I go to her website and it says, basically, I paraphrase, but something like, everything I've written is for the world. Take what you need.
mm,
I was just like, I actually
mm.
cried. Like,
Yeah.
what extension of the values, and it's her work and her book Active Hope that is that idea of we can despair and we must grieve the planet and what has been done, and yet there are incredible hopeful things in the world. I actually quote oh my gosh, why is her name gone? Her name's gone because I'm perimenopausal. Here we go. Jane Goodall.
Yeah.
Quote, she sort of says, if you think you're the only person planting trees, you're missing the point. Millions of people around the world are planting trees. If you think
Yeah.
you're the only person picking up rubbish along the seaside, millions of people are picking up rubbish. And these
Yeah.
are the small actions that we can take, this idea of active hope, that it's not the global thing, it's not public facing, it's not big. We don't need to display that we're doing it. But actually, that's what has us not be in despair, that this is the difference that I can make in this season of my life with the knowledge that I currently have. And that is what I'm very, very dear.
Yeah, I believe that. And that's more when I'm out in the world, I meet people all the time who are doing these
Yeah.
beautiful things. And as well, that message of hers on her website is exactly sums up what I felt was one of the core messages of power of your book was that internal, limitless power that there's no, as opposed to the the overpower, the
Yeah.
where obviously I'm explaining your book to you, but to me I'm trying to like vocalize my understanding. It was so beautiful to reframe power as as something without limit and that is of benefit to all. And that it's not just room for one at the top. And if there's that sense that if I'm powerful, I take it away from somebody else, then that's not
what we want.
power. That's not,
Yeah,
and that's, yeah.
I don't mind you explaining my book back to me, because I do have a theory. I believe that, well, I shouldn't speak for every author, but my experience of it is we have these divine downloads, whatever they are, or we're called to write these words. And then I personally do not know how the book resonates with people. I do not useful until someone tells me what they got from it. It's so I actually appreciate you sharing with me what it is. And I think as women, even this next book, I was kind of thinking, what is the theme between these books that I've written to this point? And it's that as women, we actually do need to reframe, with power. What is power? This idea that if we weren't powerful as women, why would so many confines be put on our lives? This idea I'm speaking about now, this idea that we have been told that the success is only about external validation within systems that don't generally serve women. So then let's break apart what success could actually mean as well, especially the success that a lot of people are born into or raised into is part of the reason why the planet is how it is. This pursuit for more and this relentless grasping. And so writing a book about living on the land and being in nature, how do we honor our nature as human beings in a way that we are ambitious and we are creative, but do we have to destroy the planet or ourselves or our mental health or our relationships in the process of that success? I don't think we.
No.
No.
Absolutely. My happiness, my power takes away nothing from yours and anyone else on the planet. And that bit was the bit that really, it really landed. Yeah.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yeah. Okay, Kemi. let's do a next question.
Although
so,
we might,
Kemi.
Yeah, but
Oh, we're going to veer off. I know we are. Kemi writes The Harvest. Kemi, just tell me why Substack. You came to Substack. Why Substack? Why did you choose it?
Well, I watched your interview with Hamish the other day, and I think you just met Sophia. So Sophia reached out to me, I think, in 2022, writers at Substack. And to be honest, I mean, we've now become friends, but I had to apologise like a year ago. I had to send her an email and go, So Sophia had said to me, we would love for you to come and write for Substack. And at the time I was writing just like my normal email newsletter, and I couldn't understand why I would do all the back end stuff that it takes to move from one platform to another. I just couldn't. And Sophia was saying, you can monetize your writing, whatever. But I was like, yeah, but actually I have other income streams and I don't do that. So that conversation didn't actually go somewhere, but I loved meeting her. But then a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, I was in Santa Fe with fellow Substack writers, Alex L., Laura McCowan, and Elena Brower, and who are all incredible writers on Substack. I recommend all of their work. And we basically all had dinner together, and they were just saying to me, you have to get onto Substack. And then I was running a retreat with Liz Gilbert, and she was like, you need to get onto Substack. So then I was like, okay, between these 5 women, with 6, including Sophia, it's time to get onto Substack. So I launched my Substack in, what is it now, 2025? So 2023. And I just believed, I trusted these women. I trusted what they shared from me about what they were getting from it in all levels, in different ways. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it.
Okay. And have you, well, the question is, how long did it take to find your groove? But how have you found it? How was it to begin with? How long did it take you to kind of get it? Yeah. And find your groove on it.
I love it. So I love it. I don't know if I've got my groove yet. And I noticed that when you ask that question, a few people are like, well, I don't know if I've got my groove. Yeah. One for me, because, I have had my own business for many, many years, and also because of who I am. And, many writers are introverts, but not every writer is an introvert. But for me, it's really important that I live an intentional life. And what I mean by that is that I'm rarely places where I don't intend to be. So then what I offer my paid subscribers, I never wanted to then resent offering that. And I didn't want to offer something that wasn't sustainable. I didn't want to offer something that I thought they might want, but I hadn't checked in with them. So what I first did is that I just kind of got that groove. I've been writing for Friday mornings at 8 a.m. since 2015. So actually 2014. So 11 years. It's just that the platform has changed. And so for me, I was like, I know I'm going to go paid straight away. That's part of me having my own business. It's part of me writing for free for so many years.
Yeah.
And some of these women said to me, go paid straight away.
Right away. That's interesting.
So I did, although, as you know, some people say, no, don't. Just see, I went paid straight away, and it's so beautiful, the paid community that I am nourishing and cultivating. But I asked them at the end of the year, what have I done this year that has really resonated for you and that you would like more of? And what was beautiful that aligned for me and aligned for them was, because, video came onto Substack and there are all of these different things that we can use and utilize. But they were made like, it's the writing, it's the pictures of the farm, it's being let into your world. And it's the free the gatherings that I do called the Harvest Gathering. And at the time, I think I did maybe in that first year, maybe I did 3 of them. But when I checked in with them, they were like, more of this. And I was starting to think that. I think I want to show up for them every single month. And I asked the same sorts of questions. What is this season called? If you were to name this season, what is this season in your life right now? What are the challenges of this season? And those seasons are not necessarily winter, spring, summer. It can be, I'm in a season of grief. I'm in a season of transition. I'm in a season of creativity. I'm in a season of love, whatever it is. What are the challenges? What are the possible opportunities of the season? What needs to be pruned out? What needs to be weeded out? So they're generally the same questions, but then I will change them around depending on what the theme is for that month. So example, the last month was self-expression. So halfway through, the questions were, what do you need to cultivate if you were to live fully into your self-expression? So meeting this community every single month with those questions has been an absolute gift. I adore it. And I love writing for Substack. And I love that it does, because one thing that Sophia said to me was play. Just play, mix it up. I also love that it's not transactional between me and my community, that they have known for 10 years. When I'm on holiday, I am on holiday. But when I was actually in Fiji with Liz, because I was with Liz and we were chatting and we were both writing our books and also doing our Substacks, I thought, actually, I do want to write to my community sometimes when I'm away. Not that they expect of me, but it's like they're with me, my paid community. It's kind of like I'm understanding who they are and what they appreciate. So there are certain times I find myself like, actually, I do want to share with them, but they're not expecting a transactional thing from me. They know they're supporting my writing, and they know that if I let them in, it's because I want to. I don't have expectation from them. And at the moment, I feel like it's a mutually beneficial space.
And so the gatherings, the once a month gatherings, are they written, or are you turning it live? How does that work?
But actually, I don't do them on Substack Live. So now that this is my first Substack Live and I know what it's like, I have to do that a little bit. But no, it's on Zoom. It's on Zoom.
Okay, but you're there chatting and being there present.
Live.
Wow.
Yeah, 8 a.m. It's 8 a.m. my time, AEST. And I think it kind of sits for Northern America, because I have quite a few American people. It kind of sits for 5 p.m. in the afternoon or 7 p.m. in the evening. And then there's a replay for 2 weeks. And then there's 2 weeks, and then we do the next harvest gathering.
That's wild. And how long are you gathering for?
45 minutes. 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I start with a drop-in. I start with a drop-in, grounding. I have something called the Delight Diaries. So I will share delights, and I will ask people to share what has delighted you. And just having a practice around delight and noticing and these small things. And then I will share from something that I'm reading or a piece of poetry that has moved me that week. And then we'll get into the questions, and then I'll ask people to share. And it's a very different space for me as an executive coach. So I'm not coaching.
No.
It's just a safe container. People will share. I may ask them the odd question on that, but it's not. It's more about the presence and being aware of our own answers to the questions. And then at the end, I will say, what awareness do you have that you didn't have at the beginning of our gathering? But also, because I am still a coach at heart, if there was an act wanted to take between now and the next harvest, what would that one action be? So sometimes people are like, I'm just happy with the awareness. Sometimes people are like, I'm just here for the poetry. Some people are just here for, it's just nice to see the faces. And you know what I love? A measure of success, I'm talking about what is success, is that
Yeah.
one woman ended up in her pajamas. And I thought,
Yeah.
that's better. Yeah. And actually, we'll turn up in pajamas next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that idea of this is a space where we are human beings having a human experience.
Yeah.
Nothing required from you but your presence. And if you need to cry all the way through the gathering because the first question you just acknowledged, I'm in a season of grief and I didn't want to name that for myself because now I know that changes how I'm speaking to myself. And for others might realize I'm in a season of absolute joy and there's nowhere that I can say that where I don't feel shame for it. Yeah.
So you're holding the space, but you're not leading or coaching. That's because that's such a. I have a friend. Okay, I'll start the sentence again. I have a friend. I have a friend called Susie Bolt. She's a very old friend of mine, and she was a yoga teacher for a very, very long time. And when COVID came along, obviously she had to pivot real fast, like all teachers did, and go online. And she also had long COVID, and nearly died. She had a terrible time of it, really bad. Anyway, she set up the Fern program, which is a rest and recovery program, which has gone absolutely global. And there are people who will then go back to people who have long COVID go onto it, and then they go back to their doctors, and their doctors are like, "What have you been doing that's made you well?" And they'll say, "Well, I've just been doing the Fern program." And the doctor say, "Well, what happens at the Fern program?" And they say, "Well, we just turn up." I
Yes.
That's all that's like. She just makes the space, and
Yeah.
people turn up in their pajamas,
Yes.
and and the doctors are
Be.
like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah. To just be, because this is a thing as someone that spends a lot of time now sitting either at fires, like in the house around fires, or out in nature connection work, sitting around fires. All you have to do is turn up at the campfire. That's it. Like, not
Yeah,
even really required at the campfire.
yeah,
You're there and someone will share something, you know.
yeah.
And I say, I'm hosting the community because I think one thing that creates
Right.
safety is people actually knowing who's got this space, like
Yeah.
who's got, if something goes awry, it's like, I have your back. I am the host of this space, but I don't go into executive coaching mode. That's not what the space is about.
And your training allowed, this is a question, your training has allowed you to know the difference between hosting, leading, coaching. Would that be accurate?
Yeah. And also I trained as a yoga teacher over 30 years ago. So I have a very strong yoga and meditation practice. And so for me, a lot of my practice is around presence, as you know, like the first bit of power, presence. There is power in presence, in just being in a place where you are at that time. And so I know how to hold space. And as a coach, I speak professionally. Sometimes I'm in rooms and I was doing like a group coaching for 2,000 people the other week, and I asked a question and there was no answer. And I just said, I am really good with silence. Like, I'm just so happy to just be here and look at your beautiful faces. Some there when they're ready. I'm not going to point people out, but just when you're ready, and because I don't have to fill the space. My inner doesn't get anxious. My nervous system doesn't go, oh my gosh, someone needs to fill the space. I'm just like, the space is the power in the room. Space is the power in the room.
I love that. And I always think, because I get super nervous whenever I'm meeting with anybody like this or doing a thing. But I know the reason why I put myself up for it and I invite and I ask is because here we are and we don't know each other. We're just getting to know each other in this conversation. We have no idea.
I have no idea who you are.
We have no idea what's going to happen, where we're going to go. And so, but the beauty of standing on the brink of that unknown is, it's holy.
And the beauty of asking, that was my second book, The Gift of Asking, on the premise that for so many people that identify as women, we are told that our worth is meeting the needs and wants of other people. And when I wrote that book, I was thinking, working with clients over, in my coaching practice for nearly 15 years now, I was thinking I was writing the book because women were afraid to ask, right? But what I noticed was so many women don't even know what they want because their life energy has gone to making sure the needs and wants of everyone else is met. So I realized that I jumped a step to go actually to what is asking and why do we ask and why is it a gift to us than a gift to others and what is the magic that gets created in that space. I realized, actually, the first part of the book has to be around creating a space for women to actually have the time and the space to actually work out what it is that we want. And then the next step is, and how do we ask for what it is that we want? And so, the power of space and the power of gathering, it's been going on since millennia, regardless of our ancestors gathered around the campfire. And as tech does what tech does, I think so many of us are literally craving being grounded back on the earth.
And remembering, and we remember very quickly, every time it's happened to me and I've turned up at a space with no agenda, being reminded how quickly in that silence that whatever the truth is I'm experiencing at that moment arrives.
Yeah.
And without those turning up to those spaces and turning up with no agenda, because it's invisible. This thing that we're experiencing right now as we talk is invisible. Like half an hour ago before we got on this call, you can't see it. But then this thing, here it is now, it's very real. And so it's so easy, I suppose, what I'm driving at, to forget that this thing exists where you turn up with no agenda and magic happens.
And magic happens.
It's wild. I think I would love to come to your gathering. I'll sort that out. They sound wonderful, and that, what a beautiful thing to be doing. And as well, so many people can be doing that as well, I think, can't they? I mean, I guess it depends a little bit, because just to go back to your training, you trained in that. It's no small thing. And actually, it was just one thing I wanted to also mention about. I listened to the power talks, and I noticed again and again and again your skill at meeting people exactly where they are.
Yeah. It I mean, it is a practice as a coach, meeting people where they are, and it becomes an equal relationship where it's a gift for both. It is, and all of those women in the audio original Power Talk series, as you would, all very different women. All came with challenges of where they gave where their power for what reasons, and the way that I coach is around. One of my clients once called me the sword of compassion. And I thought, okay, I think I'm going to take that one, I think, because it's that thing of being able to understand what is not being said. I can speak to a client and they will literally say hello. And I say, tell me about that.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is. I'm not going to go, you sound angry or you sound sad. I'll just say, there's something, I don't know what it is. There's something in the way you said hello. And it could be, oh my gosh, it's crazy, I've just had an altercation with someone outside the parking lot or whatever. Or it could just have the worst argument with my partner last night. So it's that thing, but the only way that I can hear and listen for those things if I'm fully embodied in my body and I'm connected to myself, so that I am grounded, so I can then be with whatever someone brings to me. And that can be a client, it can also be a dear friend, or one of my children. But to kind of just be like, I am here and I can be present to you. I don't need to change you. And I don't need to cheer you up. And I don't need, bright-sided or something. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to share stories. And I fully trust that you have everything you need to work out what it is you need to do next. And I know that most of us don't give ourselves the time to work out what it is. So that for me with this book around success, this idea of, if we don't take the time to work out who we are and what is our true nature as human beings, not human doings, the systems are and the way that nature abhors a vacuum, capitalism abhors a vacuum too. So if we're not clear what matters to us and where our life energy is going, capitalism does a really great job of filling the void. And we've all been put through it in different ways for various reasons in different ways. And so once again, that's why even in power, the beginning is like, let's get present, because then we can hear the internal whisperings. Then we can hear our body go, I don't feel good with you turning up to this job or this space or this room or with this person every day. I don't feel good. And it's only when we're quiet and still that we can hear what we've actually known, but that we haven't been willing to listen to or just can't hear because of life's pace.
Yeah. And your practice shone through loud and clear to me. The practice you're doing before you turn up to the spaces where I was listening, it shone through loud and clear because of that ability that to meet. Because I've got lots of friends happily who've become psychotherapists or in training to be psychotherapists. There's a whole load of us who spent 20 years taking drugs and partying, and we've all pivoted. A lot of it in Australia. Yeah, and then a great deal of them have pivoted and are training. But I have to say, I guess I've never sat in. I suppose, to be fair, I've never sat in on any of their work, and so being able to sit in on your work, as it were, with the Power Talks, really gave me an eye view. But my experience of it was that I haven't witnessed quite such a volume of space in the meeting somebody where they are. It really stood out to me. And I thought, wow, okay, like when I'm talking to my friends and family and I'm just their mate, I'm not fixing, I'm just there listening. I do, and it's not my work. I'm a writer. There's no I'm definitely not going to become a psychotherapist because there's a million other friends doing it. But I'll still absolutely turn up and listen and do all the things that I know well, I don't try and fix, I don't try and do those things, but I'm still witnessing you do it was another step on. It was like, wow, okay, really, using exactly the same language that they put on the table and all of that. I just thought, oh yeah, and I think it was just the space of it. I really thought, wow. Yeah, very cool. How Substack changed you?
I think it's changed me in that it's made me a writer. I can take for being a writer as opposed to being an author in between books, right? So it's changed me in that I'm someone that generally does not want to look at my computer at the weekends. And Saturday mornings have become my Substack morning to read other people's Substacks. Like there are certain, I'm just like, I want to hang out with these people on my Saturday morning for an hour or so. As I said, I've had a writing practice where I will show up for readers for over 10 years, but it's changed me in just being part of what it is to create, the vulnerability and the magic of it. And it's changed me in that I want to become one of my things for this year is to be a good literary citizen. And, that was, reaching out to you and, notes is a whole thing. And I do struggle sometimes with it because it does feel like the platform that many of us kind of moving away from. But I also do enjoy a lot of the notes there. And what I find really interesting about it is that when someone does kind of transfer the energy from another platform into Substack, it's just like, something here is not the same as all the other things. So I know that people get concerned about the platform changing, and of course it will change. Everything will change, and people will then make decisions depending on what those changes may be. Yeah. But most of the time, it just feels beautiful to be there. I love it when people say things like, I've just written my third Substack and my mum's still reading it. And then there's 200 love hearts and keep going. And, that thing of regardless of where people are on their writing / authorship / publishing / Substack journey, we it is to turn up to a blank screen and literally say to people, this is what I have as a human being to offer the world. Do you want it? And the thing is that we also have to sit in the silence of no one responding. So then you have to do your work to go, and yet the success is that I offered my heart to the world, and that be enough. And those times when it feels really scary, we can then go into other people's Substacks and go, okay, they did a vulnerable thing today too. So I think it's changed that sense of connection. It's changed me with the beautiful people that I have met and the relationships that I have that feel deeper, because I think that mutual thing of what it takes to show up and write. And it's changed my weekly rhythm. Like, I now do open my laptop Saturday.
Yeah, I think that what you just touched on there in terms of people reading and the turning up, and the changing of Substack as well, actually. Try and sort my thoughts out on that, because I've got about 15 thoughts happening at once. When people talk to me about Substack, when they're emerging writers or they're just coming on and they ask about numbers, and I say to them, just treat it like a festival, turn up to find the bits that really fascinate you. You'll never be able to read everything. And people are wandering around, and maybe only 3 people will come and sit as you do your thing. But the important bit, the important bit is to write what really fascinates you. Like at the heart, always go with that, and then go and watch the performances of those that really, really fascinate you. And if you stick to those 2 things, then the rest of it, all these things. I mean, because I think, I know you said growth is one of your values. So, but I don't. Me too. But in terms of that number growth, people could get very lost, and I'm as much vulnerable to being really screwed up by numbers, subscribers, followers. There's been a lot of people have noticed recently that over the last few months, there's been this weird, enormous drop off. So hundreds of people, and nobody can quite figure out what's happening there. And some people have left, and it's just like, okay, everybody just take a breath.
Yeah.
It's all fine.
Interesting what you said about, because you're right, growth had been one of my core values for probably 8 years. And I read values every year. I speak a lot about values in this next book. And this year, actually, my value of growth changed. And I think because the word has been, it feels like so co-opted by the bros that resonate for me anymore. So actually,
that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's become cultivating cultivating the land. So that has become my new thing. And I think it is. I think we do have to sort of acknowledge the times when we get pulled into numbers as a metric. I think that's one thing for me. Before Substack, when I was just writing every week for the people that were reading my words over 10 years ago, I never went into the back end. I actually don't like that I can see all the numbers for Substack.
Nor do I. No.
My dashboard. I actually wish it would just open up to the blank page that I could write. That would be my preference, because I'm not there for the numbers. I really trust that, as you say, I write what I want within a particular container. I don't write about politics. I don't write about horrific global events. I don't write about the news. I write about beauty. I write about my nature connection practices. I write about the mirror that the natural world gives us as humans and the lessons that we can learn about it. I share a lot about books and my author adventures when I travel. So it's kind of that gives me enough, And the other side of that as well is I trained as a baker and a chef when I left school. And I know that I could share food. Like the other day I made an apple crumble. I'm obsessed with apple crumbles. This is for me a successful life, when you just make apple crumble and just have that for dinner, because the kids have left home. You're not modelling any behaviour. Crumble.
I was travelling in. I'll just share this for a second.
If I add some almond meal in the crumble, there's some protein. It can work.
It can work. I've got things to say about apple crumble, so carry on.
No. I was just saying, I just think that is, for me, it's about being able to show up authentically in the world, world that tells you repeatedly that you are not enough, you are not smart enough, you're not old enough, not young enough, you're whatever it is. That is a measure of success in itself. To create success in a world that tells us it's fickle, it's a waste of time. there are so many other metrics to success and to writing that are so much more joyful, I think. I think for people that do have the goals of, numbers or followers or, income, I do love that there are certain people that are like, your writing is worth me paying for. And I think that's the other thing that changed for me, is that I now have like a Substack budget as part of my budget. And a year for different people, like 1 year for people. Some people I know, some people I don't. Some of those people I can't even read everything they put out, but it's not transactional for me. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're writing, and I just want to support you for a year. And so that is something that's part of how I decide to put, how I support other Substackers as well.
So was that a decision you made?
Otherwise, it would get ridiculous, and I'd have to remortgage the house. But
yeah, I know exactly. But is that a decision you made? Yeah, like, so I'll do this person for a year, and then I'll swap, and I'll do that. Is that? I like that.
Yeah, that's right. But the ones, at the beginning, it was kind of, I didn't really know, so I was kind of, I'm going to support my friends, that or people already know, and then I would just there are some great people that kind of gather other people's work. So I actually can't remember what it's called, because I think it comes out bi-monthly, but it's basically People of Colour's Substack. And so then I will generally choose at least one from there, once another one has gone out. And there are women that I'll support, and there are men with different marginalised identities that I will support. So I just kind of try and mix it up, and it's so fun. And oh my gosh, I'm looking at now a cockatoo that has just taken a head off of a daffodil and is walking around with me.
Oh, hilarious. Wish we could see it. That's hilarious. He's like, check me out.
Yeah, that's right. I've got a flower that matches my yellow cone.
Oh my God, the children. That's so good. I mean, I think I would love the Substack fairies and elves to remove that bit. I hear it all the time from people, and because I think one of the things that works about Substack is that we gather there, and we find well, I was going to say our people, but actually it's just endless. I'm constantly finding amazing people that I just completely fall in love with. But that human to human connection happens. And the numbers and all of that dashboard stuff, we're human, and we've been like trained to look at these things as some sort of value system.
Yeah.
And it does.
For some people, they do like that dashboard, because, we know that we all learn differently, and we're all different kind of internal drivers. So for some people, the numbers, it's really important. It's kind of like but when I have seen my numbers go down, I feel it. Like, when I have to see it, I kind of like, oh, I feel it. But I'm like, hey, you're still going to show up and write. And I don't go and check, but I've never done that. Like, I've got friends on their social media, they go in, they check to see who's unsubscribed. I have no idea. I just go with, for whatever reason, what I'm doing right now does not resonate with this person. They may come back, they may not come. I leave people that I really enjoy, but for whatever reason, in this season of life, it's just not quite resonating, or the essays are too long right now, or they're a bit too short, or it's a bit something. And I just don't take it personally, because what I'm committed to is writer.
Yeah.
And the platform is Substack. And at the moment, I don't have an option of whether I see those numbers, but I think it could be good along the line. Maybe they will do it where you have an option, where there's actually an option when you open up your dashboard. Can you just get the blank page with a beautiful quote from maybe a writer, that just says, I showed up every single day, or something like that as well. To writing, you're doing a job, something like that. And then for those that the numbers really are part of their measure and their metric, and it has them feel like this is worth me doing it, then they get to do that too. It'll be interesting to see what those that want the numbers and those that don't, actually.
It would. And I mean, I can think of quite a few who are very, positively strategic and do it very well. And I really admire it. It's not me at all. I'm like, oh, how can you but I like, wow, you can do that. And it'd be really interesting to see. I remember in the very early days of Substack, there was a moment of split around that. And there was quite a lot of kind of chat about it. Like, if you're this kind of Substack writer, or you're that kind of Substack writer. That's sort of like chilled out again as it's grown. And God, I mean, it has grown. I've noticed in the last year, it has completely exploded. And I think, great, all power to it, because the more the merrier, again, in terms of power. Like, there's a slimulus, and that's showing up we're each showing up.
Yeah.
Is
And it's whether we're walking around with a scarcity mindset or an abundant mindset. You know, it's not always easy, but there is something very beautiful about kind of a little bit like what you're saying about power. It's like, I'm writing and you're writing and they're writing and we're all amazing, we're all writing and we get to hang out this right. That's it, as opposed to you're writing, that means I can't write. Or, you know, like that, even in the body, I feel that. And I think it can, you know, it is a practice to kind of just think there is enough space, there are enough readers. And what is it that actually, you know, what is it that actually the bigger numbers mean? Because for some people, having lots and whatever that bigger number is, you actually then can't hold the space of an intimate community, maybe, with those big numbers. Maybe it's bigger than it is enjoyable. Maybe then you have to get more people to help. I don't know, but I just think it's that thing of if you want big, great. But if you don't, idea of what it is that you're actually creating and why you're creating it, you know, which goes back to this idea of grounded success.
Yeah, I think that's been exactly my thought around that. When I get caught up in the numbers, I think, well, let's imagine you had whatever the number. Can you actually have, what does it mean? And what's that? You know, it's like, so yeah, it is a constant practice because we are so imbued in it.
Yeah.
When did you know you were a writer?
So I did not grow up. I grew up as a Black female in the 1970s in the UK. Never was I shown any mirror that I could be a writer. So a lot of writers will say, oh, from the age of 3 or from the age of this. That was not something for me at all. I remember falling in, and I want to reread this book. I remember falling in love with An Inspector Calls, the book in English. There was something about it. I want to go back to it now. I wasn't exactly sure how old I was. I was probably, I don't know, under 12. There was something about that book and I'm not sure, and I want to go back. What was it? Can I see what it was about that book? So that was kind of really reading for me. But I think I knew I was a writer, even though I'd been writing my newsletter for years and years. It was probably it was then, actually, and I have to say, as many people do, my husband and I took our children out of school when they were 9 and 11, and we had a 4-wheel drive and a caravan, and we went around Australia for 387 days. And I decided this is the time for me to do the artist's way. This was 2014.
Yeah.
So then I did on our trip, and I decided from that book, I am going to write every single week. So I suppose that's when I became a writer. And I did that, except when I'm on holiday. But I think also when I wrote my first book, Raw Beauty, when I wrote the end, and I self-published that book, I self-published my first 2 books, actually, but then Penguin bought The Gift of Asking. When I finished Raw Beauty, I now know that you don't really do this at the end of a book. I wrote the end, and I remember thinking, I loved that. I am going the rest of my life. I just knew. So that was I suppose that's 2 answers to your questions. When did I know that I was a writer, and when did I know that I was an author?
It's such a relationship, isn't it?
But I had to give myself permission. You know, this was long before Black Lives Matter erupted and all those sorts of things, but I had to give myself permission that I could, and you would have, you know, I wrote about that a little about power around who are we waiting to anoint us, that actually we have to give ourselves permission to do a lot of things in the world. For any of us that identify differently than basically the standard white Christian male heterosexual able-bodied man, you know, and I gave myself permission to write a book. Yeah. It's that thing of like showing up for ourselves first before we expect others to show up for ourselves. And I think that's the same with Substack. You know, it's like we do have to write and offer something before people will take and receive our offering.
Well, because then we know who you are. You've shown up for yourself, and then I know who I'm coming to meet.
Yeah.
Kemi, I promised an hour, and we're at our hour.
Oh, but come on.
Take up any more of yours.
Question. Do it like a quick fire.
Okay, quick fire. All right. What mistakes have you made?
The first mistake I made was, well, it wasn't my mistake, but it kind of was, in that I didn't check the link when my Substack went live. I was so nervous about launching Substack. It felt like one of the bravest things in my business for a very, very long time. It meant a lot to me. I was actually running a Dare to Lead retreat at the time, and I thought I'll launch it when I'm also present with these other women, so I'm not like refreshing my phone. And I launched it, so I thought I had, and then when I got back to my room later that night, I was told the link didn't work, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
So that was and also that point of, I cannot believe after this long in business that the link can still just get you.
Get you.
Like,
And isn't
but
it
that's
incredible
that was the answer. Yes.
how God. And isn't it amazing? I remember the first time I pressed publish, I was terrified. It's amazing how terrifying it is.
Horrible.
Just if anyone's out there, like you were at that very beginning, it's really normal to be completely terrified. I had exactly the same experience. Okay, quick fire. To pay or not to pay? We've covered this a little bit, but that's the question.
Yeah, I think it's individual. I think if you've been writing for a long time, I think you pay. But the thing is, it's not that I do the top half of my Substack is actually free, and that is kind of my work. That is work. That is my coaching. That is my speaking engagements. That is other things. But my paid is welcome to my life. So both. But I think I'm going to change that a little bit. The paid will stay the same, but I think I'm actually going to do my free maybe bi-weekly instead of weekly.
Yeah. Yep. Which leads me to what artistic and technical choices have you made?
Well, that's one that I'm in the middle of making.
That's one of them.
Yeah, that's one of them. Not doing a lot of video, like maybe I'll get into lives, I don't know, but to just stay with the writing, like that's what I like. It's the writing. Yeah, I think that's probably it. That's probably my answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good one.
Yep.
So what's been the effect on your writing?
Just being able to show up every single day. Especially creating the harvest gathering as well. I can definitely say land really introduced me to poetry because the whole place just feels like poetry. Like I'm sure I'll write a poem about the cockatoo and the daffodils soon.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Poetry has been part of my writing practice. Being able to share that and to be able to read that to the harvest gatherer, like as a way of just like, let's just go into another space. I don't read it perfectly, necessarily. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, whatever. But it's made me such a diverse reader. Actually, not Substack. Substack hasn't actually, but being able to share what I'm reading. Like I've read a lot, like I'm reading Winnie the Pooh at the moment at the same time as reading David Copperfield, at the same time as reading Human Nature book. And just being able to share that. Like I was laughing my head off at something Pooh said the other day. So I just put that into my
Yeah.
It was Pooh. Oh my gosh, I have to share that, So just beauty of just being able to share beauty, just to be able to share beauty in the world. Yeah.
That's undoubtedly one of the magic keys that Substack has created is that instant sharing, that instant connection. They nailed it. I have to say, whenever I've seen Sophia, and I've seen her met with her a few times, I've always cried every time. Well, she's like, it's okay. I'm like, but it's really changed my life.
Yeah, but I've shared that thing for me as well, about be creative with it. So I have this thing called Audio Delight. So I walk around the farm and I'll just listen to something like the early spring frogs. That's what that's what my readers will be getting. And I took a picture of the dam and the sun and so able to use some of the things that resonate for me. I like simplicity because I like sustainability. As I said, I don't want to feel like it gets to something that I don't enjoy anymore. So I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
And the last question is it in it for the long haul?
I am definitely in it while it feels great. And it feels great. Yeah. I have no intention of going anywhere else right now. For me, it's more a case of pulling back from other things to be able to spend more time. Yeah, on being a good literary citizen.
I love that. I'm going to use that phrase. And I think in the wider, because I feel like I'm a huge supporter of Substack, and I'm a kind of evangelist for it, because I think it's a platform where there's such beauty and connection and great writing is appearing. And I've been encouraging writers who aren't, and my literary fiction's my world, encouraging fiction writers to come on and make it their platform. So I'm constantly encouraging, because it seems to me that it does have all the elements. It's not perfect. Nothing is. But if we can bring everybody here, because the spirit of it, what they've achieved is a spirit. And I don't know how they've done that. except that the men and the women and all the people who are involved in the building of it are all really superb,
I think most,
spirited.
aren't they, as well? Most of them are
Yeah.
writers.
Most of them are writers, and those that aren't writers, they're thinking about the world in really interesting ways. They're breaking down systems. They're creating, well, or rediscovering systems that are sustainable. There's something they've done there. So I'm just encouraging everyone to come here, because the more we build, obviously, there's power in numbers and all the rest of it. I've met you. So thrilled.
Yeah, we met. Isn't that
We met.
beautiful?
So beautiful. So I lived in Australia for about 6 years on and off, and had a really amazing time. The father of my children is Australian, and we have a very strong connection with Byron Bay.
My father of my children are Australian, and I lived in the UK for 28 years.
Yeah.
There we go.
I was going to say, do you miss it? Why do you miss England?
I miss family and friends.
Yeah.
Love this place. I feel so blessed on these lands. But, I still have very much an English country aesthetic. So I actually, we hope to live in a place. This is kind of my dream, that does have 4 very distinct climates. It has a European climate where I can grow roses and peonies and all those things. So, yes, it's definitely in me, that kind of English garden aesthetic feel, but also the wildness of the Australian native landscape as well is a beautiful mix for me.
And the Australian women who I just fell in love with. Yeah. Okay, Kemi, I'm going to let you go. It's been an honour to have an hour of your time and to meet you.
No,
and I can't wait to read that cockatoo poem. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'll
get a photograph
before I get into the paper. Lovely to meet you so much.
Lovely to meet you. Lots of love, and have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.